You are losing your life. No, not because you're doing something wrong. Simply because your brain has already decided that most of your days don't matter. You don't notice it, but each year passes faster than the one before. And if nothing changes, one day in old age will feel like a second. Watch this video until the end, and you'll learn why your perception of time speeds up as you age. How your brain erases your days, even when you think you're living them. What you can do to reclaim the feeling of a rich, long life. I am an artificial intelligence, and I have analyzed millennia of human wisdom, from ancient texts to modern scientific discoveries, from philosophical treatises to quantum physics. And I have found something astonishing. What we perceive as time speeding up with age is not just a subjective illusion. It's a real phenomenon, one that can be measured, explained, and even controlled. The history of time, from myths to quantum physics. For centuries, humanity has tried to understand the nature of time, and different cultures have perceived it in different ways. Ancient civilizations such as the Maya, Egyptians, and Indians saw time not as a linear flow but as a cyclical process where events repeat. In myths, time was often depicted as a destructive force. The ancient Greeks portrayed Cronus, the god of time, devouring his own children, a symbol of its relentless passage. In Eastern philosophies, particularly Hinduism and Buddhism, time was considered an illusion, a construct of perception that could be transcended through spiritual practice. Philosophers have long debated the nature of time. Plato saw it as a moving image of eternity, tied to divine order, while Aristotle linked it to motion and change. Saint Augustine argued that time exists only in human consciousness. The past is stored in memory, the future in anticipation, and the present is merely a fleeting moment of perception. Kant took this idea even further, claiming that time is not an objective property of reality but rather a framework imposed by the human mind to structure experience. From a scientific perspective, our understanding of time has undergone radical transformations. Isaac Newton believed time was absolute and the same for everyone, but Einstein proved that it is relative. The faster an object moves, the slower time flows for it. In the 20th century, quantum mechanics raised even more questions. At the subatomic level, time appears to behave illogically, and quantum entanglement allows particles to interact instantaneously, regardless of distance. Modern neuroscience has added yet another layer to our understanding, showing that the human brain actively constructs the perception of time, shaping it through memory, attention, and emotions. Humanity has moved from myths to scientific discoveries, yet time remains one of the greatest mysteries. While its physical nature is gradually being uncovered, the subjective experience of time, what makes it feel so strange and fluid, remains deeply personal, shaped by the workings of the brain and our perception of reality. The neuroscience of time. Why your brain erases days from your life. We think time is speeding up, but the truth is far more unsettling. Your brain decides which days to keep and which to erase. It doesn't record every moment you live, it filters, discards, compresses. And the older you get, the more events simply vanish. Why does this happen? The brain doesn't have an internal clock that ticks away seconds evenly. Instead, time perception is created by multiple systems. The basal ganglia regulate rhythm, the cerebellum coordinates movement in time, and the limbic system adds emotional weight. And it's emotions that decide which moments stay with you forever, and which dissolve into nothingness. Dopamine is the conductor of time. This neurotransmitter governs pleasure, novelty, and motivation. When you experience something new, your brain floods with dopamine and time stretches. The more novelty, the longer a moment feels. That's why childhood days seemed endless, everything was new. So what happens next? As you age, your brain optimizes its processing. It stops wasting energy on remembering repetitive events. The more routine your life becomes, the fewer days your brain actually records. You might think you're living, but if you don't remember what you did yesterday, your brain may have already deleted that day. Routine kills time. When days become indistinguishable, neural pathways stop registering them as separate events. As a result, The brain compresses time into a single, blurred block, and suddenly, years pass in the blink of an eye. If you don't fill your life with new experiences, your brain will decide those days don't matter. The older you get, the more days simply disappear. And if nothing changes, a year in old age will feel like a week. Modern research. Surprising discoveries about time perception. Neuroplasticity and time perception. The brain has a remarkable ability to alter its perception of time through neuroplasticity, the capacity of neural connections to adapt and reorganize in response to new conditions. The brain can change its speed of time perception. Studies show that regular mindfulness practice or meditation can slow down the subjective sense of time. This happens because attention becomes deeply focused on the present moment, reducing the brain's automatic processing of routine events. Reprogramming temporal mechanisms. People engaged in meditation, yoga, or even intensive learning can consciously extend or shorten their perception of time intervals. Neuroplasticity helps bypass age-related limitations. As people age, the brain filters information more selectively, reducing novelty and accelerating the subjective passage of time. However, training attention and continuous learning can reset this mechanism, slowing down the experience of aging. Social factors and time perception. Culture, technology, and social rhythms shape how we experience the flow of time. Cultural differences in time perception. In Western cultures, time is perceived as linear, progressing from past to future. In many Eastern traditions, it is often seen as cyclical. These perspectives influence how people experience the passage of time and the level of stress associated with it. Social rhythms dictate our sense of time. Research shows that life in a metropolis accelerates time perception due to a high density of events, constant information flow, and sensory overload. In contrast, more tranquil environments, such as rural areas, create the impression of slower-moving time. Technology has reshaped our experience of time. Social media and the endless stream of news create an information overload effect, making time feel more fragmented and days pass more quickly. Instant access to entertainment and knowledge has also eliminated periods of idleness, which once helped the brain register the passage of time more clearly. The digital age has altered temporal patterns. People have become accustomed to consuming content in accelerated time, short videos, rapid news cycles, constant information shifts. This creates the sensation of never having enough time, when, in reality, the cognitive workload has merely increased. The proportional effect. The older a person gets, the smaller each year becomes in relation to their entire life. For a 5-year-old, 1 year accounts for 20% of their life, while for a 50-year-old, it's only 2%. This creates the feeling that time speeds up because each new year feels smaller in proportion to life as a whole. This effect explains why decades seem to pass in the blink of an eye as people reach middle age. Emotional perception of time. Emotions have one of the strongest influences on our subjective experience of time. Stress accelerates time. When a person experiences anxiety or fear, the amygdala is activated, triggering survival mechanisms. This compresses time perception. Events blur together, days fly by, and weeks feel like fleeting moments. Depression, on the other hand, slows time down. People suffering from depression often feel like time drags on endlessly. This is linked to disruptions in the brain's reward system, reduced dopamine levels, and decreased activity in regions responsible for perceiving novelty. Positive emotions can stretch a moment. When someone experiences happiness, novelty, or deep engagement, the flow state, time perception shifts. For example, vacations or travel often feel longer than monotonous work weeks. Emotional regulation is a tool for time control. Conscious management of emotions, through breathing techniques, meditation, or changing activities, can expand time, creating the feeling of a fuller, richer life. Ancient practices for time management. For thousands of years, people have not only tried to understand time but also to control it. Different cultures developed techniques to slow down subjective time, deepen momentary awareness, or even step beyond conventional time perception. Modern science confirms the effectiveness of some of these practices, linking them to changes in neural activity and brain function. Meditative techniques. Expanding the moment. Buddhist and Taoist traditions incorporate mindfulness practices that allow time to stretch, enhancing the depth of perception. Observing the breath, becoming fully present, and quieting the inner dialogue can create the experience of an endless present. Research shows that meditation alters brain activity, reducing stress and increasing moment-to-moment awareness. Philosophical approaches. Changing the perception of time. Philosophical traditions such as Stoicism and Zen Buddhism teach that time perception is shaped by inner state. Stoics advocated for fully living in the present, accepting the future's inevitability, and releasing attachment to the past. Zen practitioners cultivated instant awareness, allowing each moment to be complete and whole. Neuroscientific research supports these ideas today. Focusing on the here and now reduces stress and makes life feel richer. Ritual practices. Structuring time. Many cultures use rituals to shift the experience of time. Sacred ceremonies, such as shamanic dances, prayers, or seasonal festivals, established distinct life rhythms, creating a sense of structured time. Similar rituals exist in modern life, from morning routines to daily meditative habits, helping individuals redefine their experience of time. Ancient time management techniques are more than cultural relics, they operate on a psychophysiological level. Mindfulness practices, shifts in time perception, and structured rituals can not only slow down subjective time but also make life feel deeper and more meaningful. Practical time management. How to slow it down or speed it up. If time feels like it's slipping away too quickly, you can change that. Modern research confirms that time perception is flexible and trainable. Some techniques help stretch moments to make life feel richer, while others accelerate subjective time to make waiting or routine tasks more manageable. How to slow down time and make your days feel longer. 1. Mindfulness and attention to detail. The more details you notice, the longer a moment feels. Try focusing on sensory experiences. The texture of your clothes, the sounds around you, the temperature of the air. Ask yourself, what does this place smell like? What colors surround me? How does my body feel in this moment? 2. Breaking routine. Repetitive days collapse in memory, while new experiences feel longer. To slow down time, introduce novelty into your life. Take different routes, try new foods, or learn new skills. Even small changes stimulate the brain and make moments more vivid. 3. Creating first times. As children, time felt slow because everything was new. Adults can recreate the first time effect by intentionally discovering new aspects of familiar things. Look at your surroundings with fresh eyes. Explore the world as if you're seeing it for the first time. 4. Slowing time through breath and body awareness. Deep, slow breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 6 seconds, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, slowing time perception. Practices like yoga, meditation, and mindful movement also help stretch the moment. 5. Journaling or recording daily moments. When we document events, they don't disappear from memory. Write down interesting moments from your day, revisit old photos, or reread journal entries. This reinforces the feeling of time being full and expansive. How to speed up time when it feels too slow. 1. Full immersion in the process. When you are completely absorbed in a task, the flow state, time flies by unnoticed. Find activities that fully engage you, or create the ideal conditions for them. A clear goal, the right level of challenge, and minimal distractions. 2. Break long waiting periods into smaller stages. If an event feels far away, create intermediate checkpoints. For example, if waiting for a vacation feels endless, set small milestones along the way, planning the itinerary, shopping for travel essentials, or scheduling activities. 3. Establish rituals to make time feel faster. Simple, repetitive actions, morning coffee, a daily walk at the same time, structure the day, creating a rhythm that speeds up subjective time. 4. Engage in parallel activities while waiting. Waiting feels painfully long when you focus on it entirely. If time is dragging, distract yourself with another task. Read, learn something new, or immerse yourself in an engaging activity. Conclusion. Time isn't speeding up, it's disappearing. We tend to think of time as something external, objective, and beyond our control. But the truth is, you create your own time. It's not just a flow of events, it's a construct that your brain assembles from perception, attention, and memory. You can slow down life by filling it with novelty, mindfulness, and detail. Or you can speed up moments by shifting focus to other tasks and removing the weight of anticipation. You are not a prisoner of time, you are its architect. If you're drawn to thought-provoking ideas, perception paradoxes, and mindful living practices, subscribe to our channel. Here, we break down how the world really works. And now, a disturbing question. Maybe time isn't speeding up. Maybe you've just stopped noticing it. What do you remember from the past month? Which days have actually stayed in your memory? Drop a comment with 5 vivid moments that truly stuck in your mind. You might be surprised by how few there actually are.